Good evening, good people. I hope you all have had a blessed day today. It's about 9:38, about 20 minutes to 10 my time, Central Standard Time, down here in Kansas City, Missouri. They just got a new report issued probably about an hour or so ago, or earlier today, that there was a plane crash that happened. It was a plane leaving Kansas headed to Washington, D.C., and there was a plane crash mid-air at the Ronald Reagan Airport between a commercial airliner carrying about 60 passengers and a police Black Hawk today. They got a video, a short video clip of the planes colliding in midair and it looked like an explosion. And they said both of the helicopter and the plane went down in the Potomac River. So they got rescue teams out there trying to save as many lives as possible and recover the aircrafts. But yeah, that's underway right now. It's all new. They don't know how many people have perished. They don't know how many people have survived. This just happened today. Um, I wonder which part of Kansas was it leaving? Kansas City, plane, Reagan Airport. No, well, not Kansas City. It was okay. It departed from Wichita. There's a passenger plane that left from Wichita, which is the capital of Kansas. No, Topeka is the capital of Kansas. Okay, Wichita is probably about 2.5, 3 hours away from Kansas City. This was a commercial air flight. It was an American Airlines flight departing from Wichita, Kansas, colliding with a military helicopter while approaching Reagan National Airport in D.C. This crash just happened. The collision occurred around 9 p.m. local time. Yeah, that's D.C. time because they're like an hour ahead of us. So that just happened. This just happened. Um, and it crashed in midair, and they got, they were watching the planes, and they showed how, they crashed into each other in the sky, and both of them, they both fell into the Potomac River. So it looked like those planes might have exploded. One of them might have exploded. So this is fresh. This is news just happened. And the crazy coincidence is that that plane was headed from Wichita to D.C. Earlier today, another plane crash happened in excuse me, in South Sudan. There was another plane crash that happened today, earlier, in South Sudan that unfortunately killed 20 people. There was only one survivor, they said. And this was headed to, these were oil workers, I believe, and this was headed to the capital of Juba, they say, in South Sudan. This happened on the same day that, just earlier today. Let's see, South Sudan plane crash. I was just reading that on Telegram. Yep, leaves 20 people dead. So I'll post both clips of these. So yep, a plane crash in South Sudan has left 20 oil workers and crew members dead. According to officials, only one person on board survived. And this happened around 10 a.m. on Wednesday. The aircraft crashed in South Sudan's Unity State at 10 a.m. on Wednesday, just 5 minutes after takeoff, en route to the nation's capital, Juba. The plane had previously arrived carrying the president of the Greater Pioneer Operating Company, a petroleum exploration and production company, and it was carrying 20 auto workers and crew members. The crash claimed the lives of 20 people, including both pilots and 18 GPOC engineers, technical staff, and employees of various nationalities. The victims included 2 Chinese, 2 Ugandans, 1 Indian, and 15 South Sudanese nationals. A sole survivor was rescued in critical condition. This happened earlier today. Crazy coincidence. Both planes were heading to the capitals. The South Sudan plane was headed to Juba, and this plane here in the States was headed to D.C. Weird coincidences. And this is a Black Hawk that American Airlines plane crashed into near the Reagan Airport. That was a Black Hawk. That I don't know. This is some strange stuff been happening. Strange. It says at least 4 people. Okay, so here's an American Airlines plane carrying 64 people has gone down in the Potomac River near Reagan National Airport in D.C. following a mid-air collision with a Black Hawk helicopter. But fatalities have been confirmed and at least 4 people have been rescued. So, and this just happened. So, it said as many as 60 people, 60 passengers and 4 crew members were on board that commercial aircraft, that American Airlines aircraft. So I'm wondering, did the pilot or the crew on the Black Hawk, did they survive? So they're still, I guess they're still, in search and rescue efforts right now. So that's kind of fresh. So later on tonight, they'll probably see just what happened. Something had to go wrong. Shooting at Memphis leaves 2 dead and critically injured. Shooting at Memphis home leaves 2 dead, 3 critically injured. Memphis has really been crazy. They killed the rapper Project Pat's son. He was 21-year-old Patrick Houston Jr., and he was the son. I think he was the oldest son of Project Pat. He's only 21 years old. He just got killed in Memphis. And the thing about it is Project Pat just got, he's become a pastor now. He now has Project Pat went from being a gangster rapper to he's now pastoring and evangelizing with his prison ministry. And that's something how the devil works. It seems like when you're trying to clean up your life and you get saved and you're trying to do better, that's when he attacked you even worse. So yeah, unfortunately, Project Pat's words have come back, to haunt him, his family. He spoke that death and that lifestyle into the atmosphere, and unfortunately, it has came back into his own family because he's lost his 21-year-old son just when he was getting his life together and getting saved. And he was, what the devil means for evil, God will use for good. So where Project Pat was speaking death in his rap music, God has now turned his life around and using him to speak life, and blessings into the lives of incarcerated people in men and women's prisons all over the country. That's what he does now. He has a prison ministry. And just when he's trying to do right and spread the gospel, the devil takes his son. So prayers to Project Pat. God rest that young man's soul. But it just seems that way. When you're trying to live right, trying to do right, that's when Satan steps up his attacks on you. Memphis is just crazy. It really is. So this is something that happened today. I'm not going to post a news story on this. It says a shooting inside a home in Memphis, Tennessee has left 2 dead and 3 injured. Officers responded at 3:32 p.m. on Wednesday to reports of a shooting at a home in the 900 block of College Park Drive. Memphis is a very violent city. Upon arrivals located 5 victims. One of them, a male, was pronounced deceased at the scene. The other 4 victims, including 3 males and 1 female, were transported to hospitals in critical condition, in which one of them succumbed to the injuries. Preliminary information indicates that a disturbance occurred inside the residence that led to an exchange of gunfire, said Memphis police, adding that all involved had been located, with the incident being contained inside of the residence. So they somehow, a fight occurred inside the house, and ended up, looked like 5 people. 5 people got killed, and 2 of them have died so far. Okay, so this is wild. So in other news, they're talking about, this is so crazy. In Dalton, Illinois, there has been this ongoing real life soap opera or drama, or it's just like a political reality show with this young mayor, African American young lady named Tiffany Henyard. Well, she's about 43, 44. and she's the newly elected mayor. Well, she's been in her position a couple of years, and she is the current mayor of Dalton, Illinois, which is like 20 miles outside of Chicago. Has a small population of about 25,000 residents, if that many. Dalton, Illinois. She's also the supervisor of Thornton Township, and she calls herself the super mayor because she is the supervisor of Thornton Township Board of Trustees, and she's also the current mayor of Dalton, Illinois. Well, anyway, it's just been such a mess since this woman took office. She is accused of being the dictator of Dalton. The residents have, been wanting her out of office because they said she's been using, the city's taxpayers' funds as her personal piggy bank, and she's pretty much just been acting like a city girl mayor. Like she came to one of the meetings dressed up as Nino Brown. Remember the skit? She had the black beret and the black coat on with a fake dog doing the Nino Brown skit. Remember when Martin is one of the funniest skits that Martin ever did on his TV show when he did that New Jack City reenactment of Nino Brown. Well, anyway, this mayor Tiffany Henyard, she shows up at one of the council meetings or one of the meetings, town meetings, doing a Nino Brown New Jack City skit. She conducts herself like a true ghetto, ratchet city girl. This the city girl mayor. So they have they've gotten her kicked off the ballot. So she more than likely will not be the supervisor at Thornton Township, and she will not be the mayor because these people want her out because they said she's been running up the city credit cards. She's just a very they said she's a very corrupt mayor. And this is on a local level. This is a little small town right outside of Chicago. So corruption, this reminds me of when I lived in Detroit, how they just, when you let corruption just fester and just go unchecked. But these people are, they're taking action immediately. So she's only been there a couple of years, and this woman has been through a lot. Her and her boyfriend make like, between the two of them, they make like $400,000 a piece, and they're getting evicted from a house. The rent is only like $2,400 a month, and they make all this money. And she's got this big expense account, and she's charging these city credit cards, but she's not paying her rent at this little small 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house to the point that the landlord has to file eviction papers for her. So I don't know. It's just sometimes when you give certain people just don't know what to do with power. They also said that she has been holding up liquor licenses for local businesses, sabotaging local businesses by not signing off on certain permits and licenses and things like that because the business owners won't donate to her reelection campaigns or her charities and things like that. So it's just widespread corruption. So this week, let me take a drink. So this week, a fight breaks out at one of the meetings. One of the local community activists calls Tiffany Henyard, Mayor Henyard, FEITCH. And so Mayor Henyard's boyfriend and the activist get into a fist fight. And next thing you know, Mayor Henyard herself is running over and getting into the fight. They don't know if she was trying to stop it or if she was trying to help her boyfriend, but an all-out brawl occurred at this public meeting. And it's just a mess, and it's so embarrassing. But yeah, at this point with Mayor Henyard, Tiffany Henyard, be honest with you, tell you the honest to God truth, in the words of WAC 100, with this lady, I smell the feds coming. Lori Lightfoot, the former mayor of Chicago, was hired as a consultant. The city of Dalton hired the former mayor, Lori Lightfoot, to audit all of Tiffany Henyard's spending, and she released her findings this week, and it don't look good for Henyard. So, like WAC 100 said about Diddy, I'm going to say this about Henyard. I smell the feds coming. So she better lawyer up. And they also found her in criminal contempt regarding another court case where she refused to sign off on liquor licenses for a business owner who said that she held up their liquor licenses because they wouldn't donate $3,500 to her reelection campaign. So that judge, that local judge, found her in criminal contempt. So she gave her a few days to respond back, but don't be surprised if this judge does not put her in jail for about 10 days or so, because it just seems like Mayor Henyard is just thumbing her nose up at everything and everybody. So don't be surprised if this judge does not put her in jail and hold her in contempt. Well, she's already held her in contempt, and she's given her time to respond to her ruling. But as arrogant as Tiffany Henyard is, and narcissistic as she is, she's gonna thumb her nose, and this judge is gonna probably lock her up. She's either gonna fine her a big amount or either lock her up or both. So that'll be happening probably in the next week or so. What else? There's a big sinkhole that has swallowed up a 74-year-old truck driver in Japan. The earth just opened up in Japan and just swallowed this man and his truck. And I'm trying to see if they have rescued him, because last I saw in the reports, they weren't able to get this man out. And they said that they were able to communicate with him for a few hours, but then they weren't able to no longer communicate with him. And the last thing that this man told them was that his truck was filling up with sand. So, Japan sinkhole. That was earlier today. I saw that story. And this man is 74 years old. I hope they find him. The rescuers race to reach the truck driver. Let me see if I can find the most recent story to see if they were able to get him out of there. Because I remember the last time I had done a story about the earth swallowing up a lady in some parts of India, I believe, and they weren't able to find that woman. She was gone. They weren't able to find her. Yeah, as of an hour ago, it says this truck driver is still trapped. He's still in there. This is an hour ago. Tokyo Weekender is the newspaper. And as of this publication, it says he's still in there. It said rescue workers are still trying to retrieve a 74-year-old truck driver whose 2-ton vehicle fell into a large sinkhole at an intersection in Yashio, Saitama Prefecture on Tuesday morning. So this was yesterday. A report of the collapsed road and a fallen truck was received around 9:50 a.m. According to firefighters, the hole is about 10 meters wide and 5 meters deep. The collapse, local authorities have said, was likely caused by a ruptured sewage pipe running around 10 meters below the Prefecture Road. And the thing about it is, the video that I saw, they were trying to send a crane or something down in there to try to lift the truck up out of the hole, and it ended up putting another hole into the ground. So this is crazy. There are literally sinkholes swallowing people up into the earth now, because this is the second time this has happened within like 6 months. Like I said, it was another young lady over in India, I believe. She got swallowed up. She was just walking down the street and fell right into a sinkhole, and they were not able to get her out. And so this man, it says the fate of the truck driver remains unknown. Firefighters deployed a crane and ropes to try to pull him out, but water in the hole has hampered the rescue operation. The man was initially able to speak. Communication with him, however, was lost around 1 p.m. on Tuesday. I could still see part of the truck at first, but then it kept sinking and sinking, and then it was just gone, said one local. The cargo bed of the man's truck was recovered from the opening in the early hours of Wednesday. The driving compartment, though, was left behind in the hole. Oh my God, that man might have had a heart attack or something, or either he done drowned in that sand. They said they even had to evacuate. Residents within a radius of 200 meters from the sinkhole have been urged by Yashio city officials to evacuate, as further cave-ins could damage the underground gas pipes and potentially cause a gas leak. On Wednesday night, workers began pumping up sewage water to discharge it into a nearby river as an emergency measure. Lord, hopefully they get the man out. But he's just driving down the street and driving in his truck, and the earth just swallowed him up in a sinkhole, and they still haven't been able to pull him out. There's some crazy stuff happening. It's insane. They're saying that the doomsday clock says we are closer to disaster. Oh, it doesn't take a doomsday clock or a scientist to tell me or anybody who follows the Bible and read the book of Revelations that doomsday is not near. So they don't know when the world is going to end. But they're saying that we're moving closer to the end of the world. I've been knew that. Doomsday clock moves 1 second closer to catastrophe. Doomsday clock is now 89 seconds to midnight. What does that mean? They don't know when God is ready to close this down, to shut this down. So they can only speculate and guess and hypothesize, but they don't know because they are not God. Nobody knows. The doomsday clock is a symbolic timepiece showing how close we are to destroying our world with dangerous technologies of our own making. AI and God himself is just he's gonna shut this down because there's too much wickedness going on. For the first time in 3 years, the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists moved the doomsday clock forward by 1 second to 89 seconds before midnight, signaling a heightened risk of global catastrophe. Yeah, right, whatever. God can shut this down at any minute, whenever he gets ready. The rapture, Jesus is going to come and rapture the church at any minute. But as days go by and these things keep happening and prophecy is further being fulfilled, we are getting closer to the time more quickly, more faster than people really know, because there's just too much happening. Prophecy is being fulfilled at a rapid pace rate, back to back. The birth pains with the weather and with war and with this wickedness, the birth pains are getting more intense. Next thing you know, the church will be raptured and the tribulation is going to begin on this earth. But people just so distracted by other stuff that they're not paying attention to this stuff. Speaking of doomsday, and this just so happened, they released this story this week about this doomsday clock. There is a Texas homeowner who had a Ring camera, and an individual showed up at her door dressed in a satanic Baphomet-like mask. And on her Ring camera, they captured this individual in her Ring camera holding a sign, and the sign read Revelation chapter 20, verses 1 through 15. They just, the camera picked up this person just holding the sign at the door. What does that mean? Let me see. Devil at the door, Texas. That's very strange that somebody would just come to somebody's door and just hold that sign up. So this is CBS News. It says a Texas homeowner is on edge after a person recently showed up at her home's door, wearing a disturbing mask and holding a sign in reference to the biblical end of times. It happened the night of January 18th in Carrollton, Texas, which is about 20 miles north of Dallas. The person was wearing a red goat mask. It was like a satanic red Baphomet mask. And where was I at? And it says the person was holding a sign with a Bible verse, Revelation chapter 20, verse 1 through 15 on it. And it's something the police are now monitoring. I'm scared, the homeowner who did not want to share her name said. I'm scared to leave my house. I'm scared to be at the house. So the Carrollton resident gave details to CBS News Texas about what happened in her neighborhood near West Hebron Parkway and Highway 121 last Saturday around 8 p.m. My husband and I had gone out to dinner and we had stopped off at the store to pick up a Powerball ticket and I was waiting in the car for him, and my Ring notification went off," she said. She saw a masked person in her driveway. The person walked through the side yard to her front door, and the person popped up on the video with the goat mask on, and they were approaching my door, the homeowner said. So she's watching this from remotely. She's watching all of this happening at her house. She noticed the person pretending to knock and was holding a sign with a Bible verse on it. "It's about the end times," she said. "It's about Judgment Day." I freaked out. I couldn't even think of anything I can imagine. She said she called the Carrollton police, but the person had already left. Local police said a report was filed, but they found no crime had occurred, and they currently are monitoring the situation. "It's really scary," neighbor Gloria John said. "I'm not aware of anything like this ever happening, and I hope they catch him." The Ring video has gained traction on social media. On social media, one post about this incident have gained a lot of attention. The homeowner said if this is someone pulling a prank, she'd tell them to be careful. "From my post, a lot of people are saying that they would probably shoot the person," she said. "I wish it were fake because it has really affected me." The homeowner says she's been told police will be patrolling the neighborhood. Authorities are encouraging residents to remain vigilant and report any suspicious activity. It could just be that this is a warning. This person just comes up to the door and pretends to knock on the door and holds this Revelations 21:15 sign up to the door. That's weird, but I put the news clip up there on my YouTube channel. That to me, that's not a coincidence. That means something. That means something. That's saying something. I don't know, but it's saying something. What else? Trump has signed an executive order to create a 30,000 person migrant facility to detain illegal and undocumented immigrants at Guantanamo Bay. Now that's where they hold terrorists, at Guantanamo Bay. That is no joke. So Trump has signed an executive order to open up 30,000 more beds at Guantanamo Bay to deport illegal immigrants. And they say conditions at Guantanamo Bay are horrible. So if I was an illegal at this point, I would not try to come over here because you might wind up in Guantanamo Bay. So he signed that executive order, I think, today. So they opened up 30,000 more beds. A lot of people were saying that they're going to start, it's going to be kind of like New Age concentration camps when they start detaining and deporting these illegals. It's crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. China has disrupted the stock market with this new AI model called DeepSeek, and also another one called Alibaba. These are AI models, and they're like the counterparts, Chinese counterparts to ChatGPT, Microsoft Pilot, and OpenAI. And China has created two AI models that they say cost them less money. It only costs them around like $6 million to create, and they're saying that it works better. It works either equal to or better than ChatGPT, OpenAI, Microsoft Pilot, and US AI models. And it has been the most downloaded app on Apple for the past 3 weeks, to the point that it has cost stock market value of these AI companies here in the States, their value to drop $1 trillion. So I posted the story up there. The Chinese are disrupting this US stock market, and it has affected this. It has dropped the value of these stocks down for these companies in Silicon Valley by $1 trillion. Chinese is running circles around America as far as AI. And speaking of Chinese scientists, they have created a motherless mouse. You heard it right. A motherless mouse. They have created a mouse. They have cloned a mouse from two male mice in their labs in China. And the reason why they're doing this is they're trying to make it to where two gay men can reproduce. So that's why they're talking about doomsday clock and human self-destructing. Is stuff like this is making us move closer toward catastrophe, because these people are trying to play God. Um, and so it says that they were created from embryos with only male genes. Ugh, yeah. So let me go into this story, Live Science. Chinese scientists created mice with two dads and they survived to adulthood. By modifying 20 regions of the genome, scientists successfully bred mice with two male parents and raised them to maturity. Scientists in China have unveiled a new method of breeding baby mice with two male parents, and the resulting babies can survive into adulthood. Ooh, this is scary. It is. So they're trying to figure out how they can how they can create life and offspring from two homosexuals, pretty much. That's what they're doing. They're hoping to advance it to where two homosexual human beings can create offspring. But they're treading on dangerous ground trying to play God like this, because this is just outside of nature, and they're trying to change nature. But I put the story up there so y'all can watch it and see. And it's crazy. But that's the purpose of them doing this, so that two homosexuals can create offspring. That's why I keep telling y'all, this world is getting more wicked, and God is just, His patience is and His grace and mercy is not going to last forever. They even created an artificial sun in China. Yes, this was last year. They created an artificial sun in China. So, let's see what else. A Minnesota woman dies while parachuting in Arizona. Now, this is a woman they said has survived breast cancer. She's 54 years old. I think they said she has 2 kids. Went parachuting in Arizona and died. So you beat breast cancer only to go. And her brother described her as a thrill seeker. And she joins this like parachuting team where she goes and just parachutes, jumps out of planes, I guess, for leisure, or for recreation. And so she went to Arizona. Her name was Ann Wick, ANNWICK. Okay, breast cancer survivor. Oh, and she was a nurse? Real sick in Minnesota nurse. Who died in Arizona skydiving. Accident, love to live on the edge. See, I keep telling y'all about these people that be testing fate, and Jesus said, don't test God like that. Remember when the devil dared Jesus to jump off the top of the pinnacle, and Jesus told him, you should not put God to the test like that. No, Satan told Jesus, throw yourself down, and God will rescue you, or something like that. And Jesus told him, you should not put God to the test like this, taking chances with your life. So anyway, it says this woman from ski slopes to skydiving, 55-year-old Ann Wick had an unyielding passion and love for adventure, even after a couple of near-death experiences. With over 275 successful jumps under her belt and a need for speed, Ann Wick geared up and took to the air for her 5th or 6th skydive on Friday afternoon. The Stillwater nurse had spent the day with 4 other women practicing a special formation dive about an hour outside of Phoenix, Arizona. That last jump cost Wick her life. According to police, Wick experienced complications while descending as she participated in a women's skydiving event with friends in Eloy on January 24th. The 55-year-old Minnesota native was pronounced dead at the scene. A hobby that began in her early 50s. This woman then got all the way up to 50 years old, beat cancer, and go and do some foolishness like this that costed her her life. So she picked up this hobby while pursuing her nursing degree, and it became a passion she participated in as often as she could. She loved how it made her feel free. There was nothing better than just free falling. The specific cause of death is under investigation, noting that the equipment used, procedures, and other factors are being reviewed. The Federal Aviation Administration investigates the packing of parachutes and the pilot and aircraft's flight rules according to a statement. However, the FAA does not determine the cause of an accident. If the agency does not find evidence of a regulatory violation, it will defer further investigation to local law enforcement. This was just an unnecessary loss of life. She wasn't the one that actually packed her parachute. She actually paid someone to do it. Wick's love for the outdoors and thrill began at a young age while on a family ski trip. Skiing, another risky, dangerous sport. Ski trip to the Dolomite Alps in Italy. She was just a thrill seeker and an adrenaline junkie. It says after a short beginner's lesson and a few practice runs, 12-year-old Wick was hooked on skiing. What started out as a routine family ski trip, a common occurrence for her family, turned into a stepping stone to other thrilling sports, her brother Jeff Wallace said. Although Wick was always an adventurer, her risk tolerance increased over the years due to multiple near-death experiences. When she was 20 years old, she was involved in a car accident that resulted in a broken pelvis, and the news from doctors who informed her she would never be able to have children. So despite, surviving this car accident and told that she couldn't have children, she eventually went on to have 2 healthy children. She got married, she became a wife and a mother. So she beat death and barrenness in her early 20s. And then 2 decades later, she was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer and underwent multiple surgeries with chemotherapy treatment. Yet, even as her family prepared for the worst, she made a full recovery. God blessed her again, and he delivered her again from death's door. I think when you have a near-death experience like that, and in her case, a couple of them, maybe her risk tolerance is slightly different. So she thought that she could beat death or cheat death because she's cheated it twice in her life. She had cheated it twice in her life. So she was always more apt to go on the edge of what she could do, test herself and see what she was capable of. No, she was testing God. She was taking advantage of God's grace and mercy. When she wasn't chasing adrenaline rushes, Wick could be found in the halls of United Hospital where she worked as a nurse, a job she was passionate about. Wick said it was her calling to help others, according to Wallace. All nurses are just angels, Perro said. And anyone that she touched, she just put them before herself. So such a sweet woman, why would she do such foolish, dangerous, risky things, playing with her life like this? She know how delicate life is as a nurse. You would think that she would not engage in such reckless behavior. So Perro said Wick was considering going back to school and becoming a psychiatric nurse practitioner. She is also planning a family ski trip, more dangerous, risky behavior. Wallace was in the process of framing a vintage poster of the ski area where their family first traveled for his sister when she received news of the accident. The poster will now be given to Wick's daughter, Rosalie. Part of me believes if it was her time to go and she went doing something that she loved, part of me believes that it was her time to go and she went doing something that she loved, Perro said. She was an angel in so many aspects of her life, and I truly believe God needed her somewhere else. No. She just took an unnecessary chance with her life, and she lost out. God delivered you from death's door twice, and then you go do something silly like this. It just doesn't make sense. Don't play with your life, people. Skiing and jumping out of planes and stuff. Unless you're in the military or something, crucial or essential, don't be going jumping out of planes and climbing mountains and hiking in the woods where wild animals are, and it's just not worth it to risk your life and test fate like that, in my opinion. So, but to each his own. Um, what else? There was another young lady. I think there was another story of another young lady I saw. She died snowboarding, but I don't see it. I don't. I don't see where I don't know. I lost that story, but there was another story about a woman who died snowboarding. Mm, let me see. It was somewhere. This was a recent story. Let's see. Woman dies at snowboarding. This is where they just get on a snowboard and just slide down a snowy incline, a really high incline or a mountain, and they just slide down a really high mountain. Let's see. Let's see the news. I just saw this, and I think this just happened recently in the last few days. Okay, this is a 72-year-old dies of snowboarding tragedy 2 days before New Year. 72 years old in Idaho. Died after a tragic accident on the slopes 2 days before the New Year. That was 3 weeks ago. And then there was an Olympic snowboarder, Sophie Hediger, dies in Swiss avalanche. She's 26 and she competed in the 2022 Winter Olympics, and she died in an avalanche on December 23rd. Just taking chances. Just taking chances. I'm not posting these news stories up here. I'm just telling y'all, you want to go and look it up for yourself, but I'm not posting these up here. I'm just letting you know, people just they take chances and play with their lives like this, testing fate all over the world. I just did a story on 2 hikers found, one was in some parts of Washington in a forest. They found him dead. He had been there 11 years, since 2013, and they finally found his corpse. They said they found his skull and some parts of his body. And then there was another young man who was a med student. They luckily found him alive after 13 days, and he was in some parts of, it's called Snowy Mountains. I think he was in some parts of Australia, I believe. So that's what these people do. Going on safaris and stuff and trying to take pictures and selfies with bears just so they can upload it on social media. You go in and go pose in it, hug a tiger and put your head in his mouth just so you can take a selfie with a tiger at the zoo so you can post it on social media for likes. But anyway, we're still trying to see what's going on with these plane crashes, these 2 planes. So, you guys can follow the news or whatever. I'm going to be following it to see what's going on with that and, what the progress is on that. But that's about it. Y'all, then I read another story about Syria. Trump supports Syria's position. Okay, let me back up. Bible prophecy in in Jeremiah chapter 49. The prophecy has been fulfilled where Syria would fall, Damascus would fall, and there were 2 other cities in Syria that fell according to Jeremiah 49. And that's what happened back in November, is that Assad, who was like a dictator in Syria, who ruled Syria for like 24 years. And before that, his father ruled Syria. And he was just like a very brutal dictator. And his regime just got toppled in a coup back in November. They ran him out of the country. These rebel forces ran him out of the country and destroyed Damascus and 2 other cities. And just they just went and just ransacked his palaces and um, took over the city, the capital city, pretty much Damascus. And this was prophecy being fulfilled in Jeremiah chapter 49. So Assad, being a coward, he fled and left Syria, running away from the rebel forces, and sought refuge in Russia. That's where he is now. Him and his wife, they fled to Russia before the rebels could get a hold of them. And when he fled, he made off with like $156 billion of the country's money, while people in Syria were living in mud huts and eating bread and water and almost starving in starvation. He had a fleet. They showed when he ran and they went and raided his palaces and garages and things. He had a fleet of luxury cars, designer clothes and purses and things, and had these opulent palaces in 2 different cities. And he ran off with $156 billion of the country's money with his wife. Now, the wife is suffering from cancer, they say, and she tried to get a visa or something to get treatment in her native Britain to the UK. But the UK would not accept her because Assad is a war criminal. And so they would not accept the wife. So the wife is in Russia with Assad. And now Syria wants Russia and Putin to turn Assad over and extradite him back to Syria to face his war crimes. Trump supports Syria's position. And the reason why that Syria is demanding this from Russia is because Russia still maintains military bases in Syria. So they're trying to work out a deal with Putin to hand Assad over to that Syrian government so they can deal with him. And Putin really has no incentive to let him remain in Russia. So Trump wants Putin to hand Assad over to answer for his crimes. And the new regime, the new leaders, they want Assad. And they also want to be compensated to rebuild or either maintain Russia's military bases in Syria. So that's the deal that they have on the table for Putin, is to hand Assad over to us so we can deal with him. And if Putin does do this to Assad, which I don't see why he wouldn't, if he hands them over to the new Syrian regime, they are going to treat him like they did Saddam Hussein. Where was Saddam Hussein? Wherever, it's not Saudi Arabia. Hussein was he was a brutal dictator in Saddam. Where was he at? Iraq, you know? Yeah, he was Iraqi. Yeah, he was in Iraq. So anyway, remember when he was captured and he was tried by a tribunal? They handed him over to Iraq after he was captured, and they let the Iraqis deal with Saddam. And when they captured him, they found him in a foxhole or something hiding. When he was captured, they pulled him out and they beat him in the streets before they hung him at the guillotine. They also did this to, Libya also did this to Muammar Gaddafi when he was overturned, or, they had a coup. And this, I think Obama defeated Gaddafi and handed him over to Libya because he was a brutal dictator in Libya. They beat Gaddafi so bad and turned around and shot him with his own golden gun in the head and desecrated his corpse. Now, years ago, back during World War II, they did the same thing to Benito Mussolini, who was the leader in Italy at that time, who was best friends with Hitler. After Hitler was defeated in World War II, his own citizens, with Benito Mussolini, they captured him, took him into custody, and they beat him and his wife they beat them so bad, and then I think they sent them to the firing squad and they shot them. But they beat him and tortured him so bad that even after he died, they desecrated his corpse. They peed on his corpse and all of that, to the point that his best friend Hitler, who was hiding in where was Hitler hiding at? I think in Berlin, somewhere in a bunker. Hitler saw how they beat Mussolini and his wife so bad in the streets and killed him that he told his officers or his people, his generals or whatever they were, that he did not want to fall into the hands of his enemies because he knew he would receive the same treatment or worse than Mussolini. So that's the reason why Hitler killed himself. Him and Eva Braun, his girlfriend turned wife, they committed suicide together because they didn't want to get treated like Mussolini and his wife. So back to here with Assad. If Putin turns Assad over to Syria, that's how they're going to do Assad and his wife. But I don't see no incentive of Putin letting Assad and his wife stay there. Trump wants Putin to hand Assad over to answer for his war crimes from decades of leadership and oppression of those people in Syria. Because he led for 25 years and his daddy led for, I don't know how long his dad led, but he took over after his dad and he ruled with an iron fist for 24 years before being overthrown in that coup last November. So we'll see how that goes. But in the meantime, in between time, I'm not posting anything on Israel and Iran yet because it's just only a matter of time before war breaks out with them. And that's going to really kick off World War III because America is going to be directly involved in that because Trump is definitely going to help Israel um, fight Iran. So, and Russia is going to help Iran. So World War III will be in full effect then. So, and that's going to happen any day now. So, all right, y'all. Like I said, if you ain't been saved, if you're still not saved, please do so. I encourage anybody who's not saved to just repent of your sins. God will answer the most sincere prayer of any sinner. If you have not been saved, just repent of your sins. Uh, Turn away from your wickedness. If you engage in any type of wicked lifestyle, just turn away from it, and just, we're not perfect. And he knows that. That's the reason why Jesus Christ died for us on the cross and rose again. So the only thing you have to do is repent of your sins. Ask for God's forgiveness. Beg his forgiveness. Ask him to come into your heart and change your heart, your mind, your thinking, your behavior, your life, and he will. Get baptized, blood washed, and born again in the name of Jesus, who is the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And that way you will avoid having to suffer through the tribulation that is going to happen. Once the church is raptured and taken away from here, the whole world is going to suffer during this 7-year tribulation that is about to happen on this earth. The Bible calls it the day of the Lord, the hour of wrath, that everybody in the world that's left behind after the rapture is going to have to experience. And it says this, the tribulation is going to be the worst time in all of human history to be alive because the whole world is going to be affected during this time. So that's the only thing we can do is keep warning people and encouraging people to get saved, to avoid having to go through that. Um, and if you are saved and you got loved ones who are not saved, just pray and ask the Lord to draw them to him and enter into their heart so that they can be saved and not have to suffer through that as well. We don't want to be here when this tribulation happens. We want to be caught up in the air and at the wedding supper of the Lamb. We want to be at the wedding and not down a wedding in heaven and not the wrath down here on earth that is to come. So that's the thing, y'all. I'm not gonna keep you. It's getting late. I've been on here about an hour, so I might have to speed up this video because you can't post no more than 60 minutes on TikTok. So if you want to see the news clips with this video, just go to my YouTube channel and you'll be able to see the news clips. But other than that, pray for the people in those planes. Hopefully they were able to survive. But no, they did say there was some casualties. We just don't know, just the number at this point. So they're still search and rescue efforts are still underway. So, all right, y'all. Anything else happens, I will be back probably tomorrow. Lord willing, God granted. So you guys have a blessed night. And with that, I will see you in the next video. Be blessed.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Kyrie.
And I'm Ashley Hinson. That breaking news, a small airplane has crashed outside of Ronald Reagan National Airport with a rescue team searching for as many as 60 people right now. You're taking a live look at the scene there. That crash that happened in Northern Virginia. It's right across from D.C.
Yeah, this is a live look at the Potomac River right now. A dramatic police and fire response there. Fire boats are on the scene and emergency personnel are responding to the crash on the airfield. We have just learned from the FAA that a CRJ 700, which is a small passenger plane, collided with a Black Hawk helicopter. Both went into the Potomac. We will have updates throughout the night on air and online on this.
Did you see that? X472. American 3130, go around, turn left end 250, climb maintain 3000. Did you see that? X472. American 3130, go around, turn left end 250, climb maintain 3000.
At least 20 people have been killed in a plane crash in the northern region of South Sudan, officials have confirmed. The crash occurred near the oil fields in Unity State at approximately 10:30 a.m. local time, 8:30 Greenwich Mean Time, on Wednesday, shortly after the aircraft took off for the capital, Juba. Subscribe to my channel for the latest news updates. The plane, which was carrying 21 people, crashed just 500 meters from the airport. Unity State's Minister for Information, Gatwech Beipel Both, told AFP that only one person survived the incident. The victims included 16 South Sudanese nationals, 2 Chinese nationals, and 1 Indian, all employees of the Greater Pioneer Operating Company, GPOC. The aircraft was reportedly on a routine mission to the area at the time of the crash. The United Nations Radio Maria confirmed that both the pilot and co-pilot were among those killed. Images shared on social media depicted the plane upside down in a field with debris scattered across the surrounding area. Overloading of planes has been a common issue in South Sudan, which is believed to have contributed to a previous deadly crash in Juba in 2015, when an Antonov plane went down, killing 36 people.
Lots of people nowadays have security cameras as doorbells and around homes today, but one person we met saw this on her doorbell camera. Somebody in that mask holding a sign with a Bible verse on it. Our Aaron Jones hearing from the Carrollton homeowner tonight who has one very simple question. Why?
The Ring camera video has left her visibly shaken.
I'm scared to leave the house. I'm scared to be at the house.
Understandably, this Carrollton homeowner does not want to show her face, but tells us about what happened in her neighborhood near West Hebron Parkway in 121 last Saturday around 8 p.m.
My husband and I had gone out to dinner, and then we had stopped off at the store to pick up a Powerball ticket. And I was waiting in the car for him, and my Ring notification went off.
She says she saw a masked person in her driveway. The person walked through the side yard to her front door.
Person popped up on the video with that goat's mask on, and they were approaching my door.
She noticed the person pretended to knock and was holding a sign with a Bible verse on it.
It's about the end times. It's about Judgment Day. I freaked out. I mean, I was like, I couldn't even think of anything.
The homeowner called Carrollton police, but the person had already left. Police say a report was filed, but they found no crime had occurred. So now they're monitoring the situation.
It's really scary. I'm not aware of anything like this ever happening, and I hope they catch him.
On social media, posts about this incident have gained a lot of attention. The homeowner says if this is someone pulling a prank, she'd tell them.
A lot of people were saying that they would probably shoot the person. I wish it were fake because, it's really affected me.
Tonight, the homeowner tells us police will be patrolling the neighborhood. They're encouraging everyone to remain vigilant and report any suspicious activity. In Carrollton, Aaron Jones, CBS News, Texas.
Humans may be one step closer to destroying the world, or at least that's what scientists behind the Doomsday Clock think. The Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists is a nonprofit organization dedicated to tracking human-made threats to the environment, specifically nuclear risk, climate change, biological threats, and disruptive technologies. In 1947, the Bulletin debuted the Doomsday Clock.
The clock is a metaphor for estimating humanity's proximity to catastrophe. In 2023, the Bulletin set the clock at 90 seconds to midnight, the closest to disaster it has ever been, citing the war in Ukraine, the COVID-19 pandemic, and cyber-enabled disinformation.
Scientists predicted we were at a metaphorical 7 minutes to midnight in 1947. The Doomsday Clock's minute hand has been reset 26 times since then, possibly leaving civilization with mere seconds before disaster.
Setting the Doomsday Clock, the Bulletin's Science and Security Board asked themselves two questions. Is humanity safer or at greater risk this year compared to last year? And how does this year compare to the more than 75 years we have been asking the question?
2023 and 2024 were both the hottest years in recorded history. The ticking clock held steady both years at 90 seconds to midnight, but 2025 changed that. The chairperson of the Bulletin's Science and Security Board made this bleak announcement.
It is the determination of the Science and Security Board of the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists that the world has not made sufficient progress on existential risks threatening all of humanity. We thus move the clock forward. In setting the clock closer to midnight, we send a stark signal. Because the world is already perilously close to the precipice, any move towards midnight should be taken as an indication of extreme danger and an unmistakable warning. It is now 89 seconds to midnight.
The Bulletin says advances in AI technology have outpaced policy regulation and a thorough understanding of their consequences. Dangers like climate change and nuclear threats are multiplied by
the spread of misinformation, disinformation, and conspiracy theories that degrade the communication ecosystem and increasingly blur the line between truth and falsehood.
The Doomsday Clock is meant to spark conversation and decisive action on the individual, societal, and governmental levels. So enjoy yourself. As the Romans said, it's later than you think. For Inside Edition Digital, I'm TC Newman.
Learning more tonight about the tragic skydiving accident that killed a Stillwater woman in Arizona on Friday. Morgan Wolf spoke with the victim's brother today and joins us with the story. Morgan?
Julie Ann Wick was 54 years old. Her family right now, as you can imagine, is heartbroken. Her brother, who I spoke with today, says that they are trying to remember all of those good memories of her as they are now navigating this unimaginable tragedy.
She liked hiking and outdoor activities, and I think skydiving fell into line with what she liked doing.
Over the weekend, Jeff Willis got news from his niece.
She was trying to let me know. I couldn't really make out what she was saying. She was really having a hard time talking at all, but I obviously got the gist of it.
She told him that her mom, his younger sister Anne, had tragically died while skydiving.
That was a tough moment. It really didn't sink in until later. At the end of the day, we're just trying to cope with it. You know, it's more sinking in now more than it was, on that time.
Officials in Arizona say witnesses reported seeing her chute release, but then it started to turn.
There was an equipment failure of some sort. Her chute got tangled, and she was not able to release the chute to get her emergency chute on. There were paramedics right there. They happened to be training in the area, and they were immediately with her, but they couldn't save her.
This wasn't Ann's first trip skydiving. She was with the same group that she went with last year. She found skydiving as an outlet.
She's had a lot of trauma in her life. In her college years, she was in a fairly major car accident, broke her pelvis, was told she couldn't have children. She ended up getting married and having 2 children. Then she had breast cancer. That was really a traumatic experience for her. All that being said, she was a thrill seeker, I guess you could say, but just a very genuine person.
Ann was a daughter, sister, friend, and mother of 2.
You want it to be a bad dream, but it's not. And then you realize that it's not a dream, and then you're crying because you realize it's real.
Jeff says that his sister went back to school in her 50s to pursue a nursing career, saying that she wanted to help people, and she achieved that goal and became a nurse a few years ago. Something he says that truly was her calling and that he's very proud she was able to accomplish.
Oh, heart goes out to them. Thank you, Morgan.
All right, so, man, there's so much. I didn't want to say nothing, but I really didn't like how you disrespected the newly elected trustee. But what I want to say is it's clear that you got questionable spending habits. You got a failed business venture. Your restaurant was deemed nasty. And it's proven while you talking about her education, we can't even verify yours. But since you sold for women, I really already knew by the way you handled Fania. But for you to sit up here and disparage that woman after giving her that congratulations in the beginning because you thought you was gonna get what you wanted. Here's the thing. I want to educate you. Stephanie Wiedemann is a 20-year employee, and ain't none of her business ventures ever failed. On top of that, she serves as a chief of staff, and she didn't her way to the top. She's efficient in budgets and don't hide her deeds. She's efficient in organization. She served as a temporary interim executive director for the Dalton Park District until she stepped aside to help her daughter become something you'll never be, which is a married woman. And her daughter moved away to Texas, and when her daughter moved away to Texas, she went to help her daughter, but I done heard about 4 or 5 people tell me how they had to take care of yours. And so while you've been mayor, but if you wanted to get up here and earn some respect, then you should have been able to respond to Lori Lightfoot's report about credit cards. You want to talk about them not coming to work, but we've been hearing about what you've been doing while you've been at work, and I'm going to give away the rest of my time because I think on behalf of the Black Cookout Association that we would better take a vote, that we're going to exchange your for Stephanie to be the new member of our. So all those in favor say all those against it, say nay. All those in favor say aye. Aye. You go. All those in favor say aye. You gone.
New developments in Thornton Township where last night's board meeting turned into a brawl. It sparked after a comment from activist Jedediah Brown towards Supervisor Tiffany Hinyard.
Our Darius Johnson is live in studio with us this morning to break down what happened last night. I mean, it was pretty crazy, Darius, and Hinyard was not expected to be there initially.
She was not, yet she was. Essentially, nothing worked in her favor last night. The board all voted against her and residents started to speak their truth. But Hinyard allies did not go down without a fight, literally. Take a look. That comment by activist Jedediah Brown led to a full-on brawl between him and Henyard's boyfriend, Kamal Woods. Punches were thrown, people climbed on tables, and even started kicking one another as Henyard allies started to jump in. Before this, Woods and William Moore, 2 township employees hired by Henyard, were placed on administrative leave as an investigation begins into their roles with the township. Henyard called this a personal move, yet their work has been questioned by the board and the community. This was the first meeting since trustee Stephanie Wiedemann filled a vacant seat on the board just last week. With Wiedemann present, the board was finally able to approve the township's tax levy ordinance and insurance, ending the shutdown. Now, this move left residents thrilled about the progress moving forward and left Henyard fed up about being left out.
That's all we've been asking for. Accountability, transparency, doing the right thing. Thank you, and thank you.
But if you wanted to get up here and earn some respect, then you should have been able to respond to Lori Lightfoot's report about credit cards. You want to talk about them not coming to work, but we've been hearing about what you've been doing while you've been at work, and I'm going to give away the rest of my time.
Witnesses say Henyard ran toward the fight. It was unclear if she was trying to jump in, but she was thrown to the ground and lost her shoe. Again, all of this comes after former Mayor Lori Lightfoot delivered a scathing report to Dalton trustees, alleging a pattern of gross financial mismanagement by Henyard, who serves as the mayor of Dalton. Now, the investigation, ladies, also revealed similar findings into Thornton Township, where Henyard serves as the board supervisor there as well. Again, coming up at 6 o'clock, you're going to hear from Henyard, who essentially calls all of this political retaliation.
Yeah, I mean, I feel for the residents there because nothing really is getting done, or has for a few months now.
Nothing has gotten done for months. However, you started to hear from residents last night who started to get some sense of hope that things would move forward now that some things have been approved to end this shutdown so people can get back to work and do what needs to be done.
All right, Darius, thank you so much.
Thank you.
There's a mayor in Dalton, Illinois by the name of Tiffany Henyard who has likened herself to that of Nino Brown, a fictional character from a cult classic 90s movie called New Jack City, where he was a monster. He terrorized any and everybody that he came into contact with, even his own people, right? Even his homeboy, am I my brother's keeper? And it turns out that he wasn't, because he got rid of him. Nevertheless, I digress. Back to this mayor, 40-year-old Tiffany Henyard has been accused of doing things that are outside of the scope of her job. So let's go back to this Nino Brown impersonation. It said one time she showed up to City Hall there, dressed as Nino Brown, and she even took a picture of herself dressed that way, with a dog, a fake dog with a chain, because, you know, Nino Brown had these dogs and all that other stuff. And she says that she was mimicking that of Martin Lawrence, where he did a show and he was mimicking that of Nino Brown in New Jack City. Nevertheless, I did say she's a mayor, right? So she's supposed to be a little bit more on the professional side. Well, she ain't that. Now, all the other trustees that sit on the board there with her, they're like, yeah, she gotta go, right? So they just approved I guess something to get the feds in to investigate her. So that FBI investigation is going forward, although the FBI said that, yeah, we really can't give y'all too many details. Now, there's a brother by the name of Lawrence Gardner who had a trucking company there in Dalton, but I guess it got shut down because he didn't want to let Tiffany shake him down. Now, when I say shake him down, he said that she demanded that he donate $3,500 to her campaign there in what they call the Village. And he was like, no. And so then they lied and said that he was operating without a liquor license or something crazy. And he's like, nah, that ain't true. But he also said, yeah, I do know that FBI is investigating because I have talked to them several times. Okay. So it is also said that she has a security detail that is out of this world, that is costing a lot of money. Now, mind you, Dalton only has about 20,000 residents, and most of them are, say it with me, black. 92% of the residents there are black. Why they voted for her, I don't know. But at one point in time, a year after she was elected, sounds like she got into a special election, something like that, they got on to her and it was like, yeah, we need to recall her but it did not work because she sued them. Now, it sounds like the recall went through, but because she sued them, they weren't able to count the votes or something crazy. Nevertheless, she remained on the board there as the mayor of Dalton. It's also said that the police cars were in jeopardy of being repoed because she just ain't paying the bills. Now, she's saying it's not my responsibility to do that, this, that, and the other. But it's like, you the mayor. Why you ain't making sure the police cars are paid for? But she's making sure that her security detail is paid for. They're also saying that she is spending a lot of the town's money on big time travel plans. She's traveling all over, and she has a glam team every time she needs to take photo shoots of makeup in her hair, and it's costing a lot of money. Also said that she hired a childhood friend to work there in City Hall, and he has some issues as he was convicted of doing the unthinkable to 2 teenage girls when he was 16. But Tiffany's like, well, he's paid his debt to society. He's not like that anymore. But the people, the trustees there are like, well, he got a job to where he needs to go into people's homes. And in people's homes, there usually are children. And per what he was charged with, he cannot be around kids. So what are we doing here, right? So she is a mess. And did I say she was a Democrat? If I didn't, yeah, she's a Democrat. Which makes sense, right? Nearly all black town elects a Democrat black mayor. Now, she is said to be the first female mayor and the youngest to do the job. And I don't know if that's kind of working against her, but you cannot use the people's money to act like you Nino Brown. It just ain't gonna work, right? Now, it's also said that she is being paid $50,000 as the mayor, and then she's drawing about a $250,000 salary as the supervisor of Thornton Township. So she's making a bag off of the city there in Dalton. It's also said that she told them, hey, if I'm not reelected, then guess what? Then I'm going to vote to where the mayor doesn't get paid as much as I do. I think she wanted to drop it down to $25,000. It's like, that sounds like extortion. If you don't vote for me, I'm going to do that. That's extortion. But again, I want to know, what did the people see in her that they thought was a good idea? Was it because she's black? She's a woman? Because, you know, they try to get us with that. Oh, I'm the first black woman to act like Nino Brown as the mayor. You know what I mean? Like, why would you want your people to see you that way? You should be very professional, astute, and act like you got some doggone sense. But you up in there, you know, like it's a big old party and you spending the people's money. Yeah, she got to go. And if y'all can't get a recall, don't vote for her again. And hopefully the FBI, if they found that she has been doing things that are not appropriate, they get with her like they would get with everybody else. It's also said that she has an organization, a nonprofit, that she says that she's not really in control of, that has some issues as well with funding and misappropriating funds. And so Tiffany Henyard's got a lot of things she needs to answer for, but it's all fun and games being a hot girl until it's not. So anyway, y'all tell me what you think of that. And before you leave, if you can go to africandiasporanews.org and invest in the app that we have built just for you. That way we don't have to spend so much time on this app, and we can be on our own place where you can be yourself. And in the meantime, if you could please subscribe to this channel and my channel, The Demetra K Show.
Our next story is from Japan. A massive sinkhole appeared in Saitama City, about 30 kilometers north of the capital, Tokyo. The sinkhole is about 10 meters wide and 10 meters deep. It formed suddenly on Tuesday morning, and as soon as it appeared, a truck fell into it. It was swallowed whole. The truck driver is a 74-year-old man. He was trapped in the sinkhole. Japanese authorities have been trying to rescue him for over 36 hours, but their attempts were hampered because a second sinkhole emerged last night. About 200 households have been evacuated and the situation remains tense. Our next report has the details.
This sinkhole has appeared in Japan's Saitama City, right in the middle of a busy road intersection. The hole is about 10 meters wide and 10 meters deep. It has been growing since it formed. The sinkhole appeared on Tuesday morning. Looking inside, we can see a leaking pipe, filling the hole with water, and that's just one of the problems. The cause of the sinkhole is believed to be a second pipe, a sewage pipe located more than 10 meters beneath the intersection. Reports say that this pipe corroded and then burst. The resultant leak caused soil and sand around the pipe to flow away. It led to a hollow forming beneath the road surface, weakening the road above and causing it to collapse when a heavy vehicle approached. Just when the ground collapsed, a truck fell inside. The driver was alive and conscious when the accident took place. Rescue workers could speak to him till about 1 p.m. on Tuesday, 3 hours after the accident occurred. But he told them that sand and debris were filling the truck. It had buried the driver's seat. But soon after, he stopped responding. Japanese rescue workers were trying to drain the hole. They were pumping out the water so that they could send in a rescue crew. Eventually, they decided to lower a crane to pick the truck up. That's when disaster struck again. Look at the electric pole and signboard just as the truck was being lifted. The ground beneath them gave way, causing them to collapse. The rescue work seems to have put additional stress on the ground, causing a second sinkhole to appear. The rescue crew pulled the truck out of the first sinkhole, then they dumped it and moved back. It was still lying on its side today, near the now 2 sinkholes. You'll notice that the truck bed and all 4 wheels are there, but the driver's compartment is not. The rescue workers could not find the driver. The second sinkhole seems to have caused additional complications. There is a gas pipeline running beneath the road. Japanese authorities fear a gas leak. They asked about 200 households located near the sinkhole to evacuate. The Saitama city government also issued an advisory. They asked about 1.2 million people across the city to refrain from using sewage systems to avoid exacerbating the situation. Once the rescue operation ends, hopefully in a success, that is when Japan will start fixing the damage. The nation is no stranger to sinkholes. One emerged in Hiroshima last September, causing a number of nearby buildings to lean towards the depression. It was caused by an underground water pipe burst. And then there was the giant sinkhole in Fukuoka in 2016. That was reportedly caused by construction work. Japan managed to fill it up and reopen the road within a week. There was a slight hiccup afterwards. The newly repaired road sank a bit, but that didn't take long to fix. So Japan knows how to handle these sinkholes whenever they appear. But their regular emergence is a cause for worry nonetheless. With widespread urbanization, there's always a trade-off between development and safety, even in a place as meticulous as Japan.
We're calling the show Vantage. We hope you like what we put together for you. Touted as the minimum defense from that video. India's neighbors were the first to send the special edition of Vantage live from the White House throughout the city. Hindu Mandir in we're on our way to Tel Aviv. City measure, but it's also the perfect way to drive.
I don't think that
Prime Minister of Bhutan, Sherin Thagbeh. Welcome to
60% of the world's
office. Prime Minister Modi did behind.
We were actually.
How are you doing? How do you like? It's been 1 year since that meeting. Iron bars separate you from the outside. Out the vote effort. Trump had, it says, and at $4.3 trillion. 300 billion by 2030. That's what we need to tackle climate change.
And before we get to our next story, let me ask you a question. Can you imagine babies being born without mothers? How is that even possible, you might be wondering, right? And why are we even asking that question? Now wait till you hear about what's happened. Chinese scientists have created a mouse with 2 fathers. Yes, a mouse with 2 fathers. And how did they do that? Through a series of genetic edits, basically combining genetic material from 2 males to create embryos that inherited no DNA from a female. Now, this breakthrough has far-reaching implications, let's tell you this. To put it simply, this is a technique that may one day allow gay men to have children biologically related to both parents. This is hugely significant. And let's also tell you that this is not the first time we are hearing about motherless mice. Last year itself, a breakthrough was presented at a conference in London. Katsuhiko Hayashi from Kyushu University in Japan spoke about it at the 3rd International Summit on Human Genome Editing. And years ago, 12 mouse pups were created after fertilizing eggs that were derived from male cells, but they could not breathe properly and did not survive. But the mice created in the breakthrough that we're talking about, that came, were actually healthy. And how were they created? By converting male cells into eggs. Basically, a skin cell from a male mouse was reprogrammed to convert it into a stem cell. And as we learned in biology lessons, male cells have XY chromosomes. Female eggs have XX chromosomes. But the breakthrough involved devising a method to do away with the Y chromosome and then replace it with an X chromosome. So it could basically become an egg. After motherless mice, will we soon see motherless babies, motherless children? Experts have cautioned that significant technical, even ethical barriers must be overcome. But these are very significant breakthroughs and developments. Imagine the implications. Gay men could have biological children in the future. All of these steps matter, and they've also meant that a kind of infertility in women could be cured. The Turner syndrome, for example, it happens due to abnormalities related to chromosomes. These breakthroughs could change the way we look at human reproduction.
To stay up to speed with the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
The world is still talking about DeepSeek, the Chinese AI company that shook up Silicon Valley. It took on American tech giants. Its AI models are cost-efficient and powerful. They are built on less advanced chips, yet they perform just as well as their Western counterparts and rivals. The result? A massive market shock. Tech stocks plunged. $1 trillion wiped out in a single day, and things were just stabilizing when China fired again. A second Chinese tech giant has thrown its hat in the ring. I'm talking about Alibaba. Its latest AI model, Qwen 2.5 Max, is here. And according to Alibaba, it is not just good, it is better. Better than OpenAI's GPT-4o, better than Meta's Llama, and even better than DeepSeek's V3. So Alibaba claims it is better than its Chinese and American counterparts. These claims are yet to be verified, but the timing is deliberate. It's the Lunar New Year in China. It's a national holiday, a time for family. Most people are not working, but Alibaba is. This wasn't just a product launch. It was a power play. Right now, China's AI momentum is relentless. DeepSeek shocked the world last month, and last week it dropped another model. Then came Moonshot AI. It's a Chinese startup. Its new release is called Kimi K1.5. Moonshot claims it is on par with OpenAI's best. And now we have Alibaba. Make no mistake, this is not tech boom, this is an offensive. Not the usual military drills kind that Beijing likes. This is a tech offensive. China has the West on the back foot, and now it is going for the kill. What's the West doing about it? Well, they're playing the TikTok card. If you can't defeat them, discredit them. If that doesn't work, raise national security concerns, and if even that fails, then just go ahead and ban them. The first example is OpenAI, the maker of ChatGPT. 2 days ago, their CEO praised the DeepSeek model. But now the company has a problem. It says DeepSeek used OpenAI's models to train its apps. Microsoft is investigating this charge. It is a major investor in OpenAI, so Microsoft wants to find out if any OpenAI data was used. Now, we don't know how much of this is true or if this is just a case of sour grapes. But the White House has echoed these concerns. They're looking into DeepSeek and the national security concerns related to Chinese AI models.
President Trump has also proudly appointed the first AI and crypto czar at this White House, David Sachs, whom I spoke with yesterday, very knowledgeable on this subject, and his team is here working every single day to ensure American AI dominance. As for the national security implications, I spoke with NSC this morning. They are looking into what those may be, and when I have an update, I will share it with you.
The US is not alone. Italy's data watchdog also wants answers. It is asking DeepSeek how it handles personal data. Italy claims that the data of millions of Italians could be at risk. DeepSeek has 20 days to respond to this. Meanwhile, Australia is taking a different route. No investigations, no formal requests. It has a simple message for its people. Be careful while using the app. The subtext here is, don't use it. So China is bombarding the world with new AI models, and the West is trying to raise doubts. They want their models to shine. But that does not answer the question, is DeepSeek safe to use? Let's look at the fine print. DeepSeek mentions that it collects a lot of personal information from its users. This includes email address and phone number, date of birth, user input, chat histories, your phone's model, your operating system, and your keyboard patterns. And where is all this information stored? It is kept in servers in China. So the app is harvesting a lot of your data, and it does raise some red flags. But this should apply to the other models as well, the likes of ChatGPT. It should also apply to social media platforms. They all have similar privacy policies. They all harvest your personal data. So these concerns are not unique to DeepSeek. And by extension, these questions and doubts are not really about data privacy. They are about tech dominance. DeepSeek collects personal data. So does ChatGPT and Meta. The difference? DeepSeek is Chinese, the others are American. And that changes everything. Beijing sees it as an opportunity, the West sees it as a threat. And in their battle for AI supremacy, neither side is backing down. Now, we don't know who will win, but we do know who will lose. Consumers like you and me and our data privacy. We're calling the show Vantage. We hope you like what we put together for you. And touted as the minimum defense from that video. India's neighbors were the first to send this special edition of Vantage live from the White House throughout the week. Hindu Mandir in we're on our way to Tel Aviv. Measure, but it's also the perfect way to drive.
I don't think that
Prime Minister of Bhutan, Sheryl Tagwe. Welcome to
60% of the world's
office. Prime Minister Modi did the iron. We were actually. How are you doing? How do you like? It's been 1 year since that meeting. Iron bars separate you from the outside. Out the vote effort. Trump had, it says, and at $4.3 trillion. 4.300 billion by 2030. That's what we need to tackle climate change.
They're going to take it back and they're going to like it. Today I'm also signing an executive order to instruct the Departments of Defense and Homeland Security to begin preparing the 30,000-person migrant facility at Guantanamo Bay. Most people don't even know about it. We have 30,000 beds in Guantanamo to detain the worst criminal illegal aliens threatening the American people. Some of them are so bad we don't even trust the countries to hold them, because we don't want them coming back, so we're going to send them out to Guantanamo. This will double our capacity immediately, right? And tough. That's a tough place to get out of. Today's signings bring us one step closer to eradicating the scourge of migrant crime in our communities once and for all. And it was just it's just an unforced error that we even have to be doing this. Now we need Congress to provide full funding for the complete and total restoration of our sovereign borders, as well as financial support to remove record numbers of illegal aliens. And these are illegal alien killers, criminals at levels that nobody's ever seen before. And you would have known that, and you were there when I said it. I said everybody that's bad is going to be thrown. If you look at Venezuela, Venezuela's crime is down 77%. Because they've taken their gang members, their prisoners, their drug dealers, their drug lords. they've shipped them all into the United States. Many other countries, their crime is way down, and our crime is not doing well. But we're going to have it do really well very soon, and we're shipping all these people back where they came from.
The new Syrian government has demanded that Russia extradite Bashar al-Assad. According to Reuters, this demand may be linked to the preservation of Russian military bases in the country. Syria has also demanded compensation and reconstruction.